Hey guys, welcome back to Movie Husbands and happy Oscar nomination day. Today, Jeffrey and I are going to go through some of the major categories, the nominees, what we thought about them, and also give our opinion of kind of who we just want to win. So you ready to go, Jeffrey?
Yep.
Let's do it. So first up, we're going to talk about Best Animated Feature. The nominees are Encanto, Flea, Luca, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon.
This is actually an unusually strong year for this category, I think. The only one that I'm a little lukewarm on is Luca, and Luca is still fine. This feels really terrible because I know that Flea is a very important film, but I had such joy watching Mitchell and the Machines this year that's my pick. That was the most joyful film I think I saw this entire year.
I totally agree. I think Encanto's probably going to, I know we're not talking about who's probably going to win this, but you know, Encanto just has this huge cultural prevalence right now, which I think just gives it a huge heads up, but I totally agree with you. I absolutely adore The Mitchells vs. the Machines.
I think Encanto is a good movie, though. If that wins, I'm not going to be mad. I think that's a really sweet movie. Next up is Best Costume Design. The nominees are Cruella, Cyrano, Dune, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story.
So yeah, this is actually a really stacked category as well, I think. I really enjoy all these nominees here. I think Dune is such fantastic costume design in this film. I was watching part of Nightmare Alley while you were watching it. Costume design was really great in that film. West Side Story, to be frank, we have not seen yet, and we are going to see it. Can't wait to see it. But from what I've seen of the trailer, it absolutely looks stunning, the costume design of this film. But I'm going to be honest, I kind of want Cruella to win. It might be an outlier there, but I really do like that movie, and the costumes in it are just so fantastic.
Well, I've seen 15 minutes of Cruella, and there's so many wardrobe changes that I think if you're going for like whoever has the most costumes should win, Cruella should probably win.
There's more to it than just having the most costumes, though. You need to watch more of that movie.
No, it is a music video. They play a different song every 30 seconds. It really drives me crazy. I had to leave the room, actually, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I was like, watching it for 5 minutes. I was like, this is a lot of fun. And then it just kept being that movie. So I had to leave.
It's really good music, but it's really good, actually. And the costumes, I thought.
I was going to say, you're not going to hear me speaking badly about the costumes.
All right. So what would you want to see win here?
I guess I would go for Dune. I think the costume design in Dune is maybe the most kind of original and interesting, just because it's in a whole different universe. It's science fiction. So, and I think it's kind of an uncommon nominee here because we usually get so many period pieces. So I would like to see Dune win, but I'm okay with Cruella winning.
I totally agree with you there, though. Like Dune, the costumes, I feel like do such a great job of actually forming the world that's being created here, and they're such a complement to the story that's being told. And I find how that kind of meshes together to be so important and works so well. So I totally give it credit for there. Would totally be happy with that as well. And next up, we have Best Documentary. The nominees are Ascension, Attica, Flea, Summer of Soul, and Writing with Fire.
So with what we thought was going to be nominated, we were doing really well with the documentary features, and now we haven't seen most of these. So we've seen Flea, and we've seen Summer of Soul. So that's just for clarification. That's all we really have to go off of. However, I'm a little shocked that Procession's not in here. I love that movie. I think it's really powerful, and I think it's unfortunate that it wasn't nominated. I think of the films I've seen, I would probably pick Summer of Soul.
I totally agree with you on the Procession bit. I was very disappointed to see here. I put it in my notes that I wanted to mention as well. So we're kind of on the same page with that. It is kind of an interesting category because I feel like there's a line of 20 documentaries, and there's typically like 2 or 3 that are very much into the conversation that you kind of know are going to show up there, and the rest is just kind of like which is going to be placed in here. So I am very curious to kind of see more about these other ones that we have not seen. Other than that, I am very torn between Flea and Summer of Soul. I absolutely adore both of these documentaries. I think they were just so fabulously put together in terms of the way that they move. You know, we didn't do a review on Summer of Soul, but we watched it just this past week. And I love how this documentary kind of breaks itself into subgenres of Black musical culture. And it kind of talks, there's a section with Motown, and then there's a section with soul, and then, so you kind of go through some of these and learn about historically about the genre of music, as well as kind of historically what was happening in politics and the civil rights movement and integration during this time. So I thought it was just such an informatively packed documentary that was also so much fun and filled with so much life and pride. So I really do enjoy that documentary. And with that and Flea, just such important documentaries. After last year, I am not holding my hopes up for an actually important movie.
They always this one up.
They always do. So I'm not getting my hopes up, but I'm really rooting for these two. If not, just the extra attention that they get, I think is just very important as well.
It seems like every year that there's one documentary that everyone's like, okay, this one's totally going to be nominated, and then the other ones are kind of up in the air, and that one always doesn't get nominated. So, for instance, everybody thought The Rescue was getting in no problem, and that didn't get in. And a couple years ago, I think the most famous example of this was Would You Be My Neighbor, which wasn't nominated. So that tends to happen every year. Everybody is like such a wild card with documentary. Next up is Best Film Editing. The nominees are Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, The Power of the Dog, and Tick, Tick, Boom.
So I think to start here, I'm just going to mention that we have not seen King Richard yet, so I cannot say anything regarding the editing, and that's for further down the line as well. This is a tough category. I don't really have a clear thing in my head, so I don't know if you could help me out in terms of what I might want to see win this category.
Don't Look Up can just get right the hell out of here. I don't know what it's doing here. I remember thinking that the editing was really aggravating, actually. My pick, interestingly enough, might be Power of the Dog because, and this is where kind of editing and direction and writing are all kind of conflating together, but what that film chooses to show you, I think, is essential to the editing process because the film is so subtle with its character motivations and the revelations towards the end that I think editing would be a very crucial part of that process. So it's kind of an unconventional pick, but I think that would be my favorite one here, maybe closely followed by Dune. I also want to shout out Tick, Tick, Boom, which is pretty well edited because it has to, not only is, I think, editing musical performances probably really difficult, but also that film jumps around in time too. He's giving a performance on stage and his life is going on and it's kind of running between all of these things. So I think that probably was quite a feat to edit.
And the performances have varying types of moods and kind of tempos. So I think pairing the editing style with the way that the camera movement is changing and the tempos of the songs being sung, I think is kind of an interesting way to edit or think about editing the film as well. Next up, we have Best Cinematography. The nominees are Greg Fraser for Dune, Dan Loston for Nightmare Alley, Ari Wegner for The Power of the Dog, Bruno Del Bonell for The Tragedy of Macbeth, and Janu Kaminsky for West Side Story.
I think my pick here would probably be Tragedy of Macbeth. That's I think maybe the most stunningly shot film here, although it really is tough competition. The Power of the Dog is very well shot. Dune is kind of an interesting one because this has been a lock for cinematography basically since it came out. And what's interesting about this film, and one of the things I like so much about it, is I can't really tell the production design from the visual effects from the cinematography. Like, it all blends together so well. So maybe that could be a negative in some people's eyes because it's like you're just filming visual effects. I don't personally see it as a negative, but it's an interesting pick for cinematography. It's kind of like when Avatar was nominated for cinematography.
The cinematography in The Power of the Dog is so great. And I think Ari Wegner, it'd be really cool to see her win. She would be the first female cinematographer to win. I think is very much a contender in this category. And The Tragedy of Macbeth, I remember saying in that review that the cinematography was absolutely unparalleled. So I stand by that statement and I totally agree with it and I totally would love to see it win here. But I would be happy, literally, with pretty much any of these people.
Next is Best Production Design. The nominees are Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story.
Tragedy of Macbeth in particular, I absolutely adore the production design of that film.
I agree.
I do hear really wonderful things about West Side Story, so I kind of need to hold out till I see that to actually make my own opinion on that for sure. But so far, The Tragedy of Macbeth is kind of where I stand.
I think my pick would actually be Nightmare Alley. So I forget exactly what I was watching, but I was watching, I think it was the Cinematographers Roundtable at The Hollywood Reporter. And the cinematographers were talking about how people often confuse their job with production design because they're filming these really gorgeous things with a lot of symmetry and beautiful sets. And really their job is more about light and like the practicality of where the camera is and what's in the shot and what isn't. Anyway, it got me thinking about Nightmare Alley because I think what the camera is actually doing in that movie is is not super interesting, but the production design is like outrageously good. If anybody wants my 10-second opinion on Nightmare Alley, for the first half hour, I was like, this is real filmmaking. And then for the last half hour, I was like, they really botched this.
Oh, no.
That's my opinion on Nightmare Alley. That doesn't mean that it's the correct opinion, but I was very much taken out of that movie in its last half hour, and there are 5 half hours in that movie because it is very, very long. However, the way it starts is great.
I gotta say, from what I did watch of just sitting on the couch for a little bit as you watched it, from what I did see, the production design, what I loved so much about it was how practical and how much work it seemed went into it. I mean, it looked like every single Lisette was done by hand. That kind of hits at a Guillermo del Toro movie. Think about any Guillermo del Toro movie you've seen. Like, the set design is absolutely stunning in every single
Really
one.
what he's great at, yeah.
And next up, we have Best Adapted Screenplay. The nominees are Coda, Drive My Car, Dune, The Lost Daughter, and The Power of the Dog.
So I think a couple things to note here. It's great that Drive My Car got in. I always love to see, like, I'm very pro the international films taking over other categories. So anytime that happens, I'm very happy about it. So I like that Drive My Car got nominated. I think Power of the Dog has a great screenplay. Probably no surprise to anybody how much I love that movie. It's great that The Lost Daughter got in as well because, as we'll see later, that missed out on Best Picture. So I'm really glad that it was recognized. I think its writing is one of the better aspects of the film. I could probably do without Coda, which is a nice movie, but I don't really think its writing is its best attribute. I think it has very heartfelt acting, and it's very emotionally affecting, but there's a lot of lines and scenes in that movie that I think are a little clumsy from a writing perspective. My pick would... I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know what my pick would be.
You're torn between Drive My Car and Power of the Dog, aren't you?
No, really The Lost Daughter.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying not to do the thing where I say, I think this person's going to win for this other thing, so let's not pick them here. I'm trying to pick what I actually think is the best written screenplay. Yeah. I think I'm probably going to go with Drive My Car, I think is the best screenplay. It's really hard not to pick The Lost Daughter, though.
I agree with you. So I think I would go for Maggie Gyllenhaal in this case. I really enjoyed The Lost Daughter. I think the script is what makes this movie work so well and get across a lot of these really deep emotional themes that are being told. I really give her a lot of credit, especially as her first directorial debut. I really think she did a wonderful job.
Next up is Best Original Screenplay. The nominees are Belfast, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, and The Worst Person in the World.
Do you know what I'm going to say already? Because Don't Look Up can go. And it's funny that it's here because while watching the film, I thought the screenplay was actually not that very good to begin with. A lot of the dialogue seemed very trite to me and very uninspired. And I just thought of so many great movies that probably deserve to be here over that. One being Come On, Come On. The screenplay of that film was so well done and really deserved to be here. And just looking at these nominees and seeing Don't Look Up there, and I'm like, damn, the amount of work that went into Come On, Come On. It's literally, the whole concept of it is built around writing in a way.
Yeah.
And just to have that not be carried through and acknowledged here, I think is just a travesty. Separate from that, one thing that I do think that's missing from here, and I'll probably talk about this down the line as well, is Pig. Pig, I thought, was an absolutely amazing screenplay. And another film that I feel like got no recognition in the Oscars this year that really deserved some recognition. And here is, I think, one of the categories where it would have done well.
Yeah, the only disappointment I have with this category is this used to be the category for, like, the weirdo picks. You know, this is the category that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind won and Her won. So I think that screenplay over the past 10 years or so has really become more of a mirror of the 10 Best Picture nominees, and I think that makes it a little less interesting. The other side of that is many of these independent films and risk-taking films have found their way into Best Picture and actually have been more acclaimed by the Academy, so maybe that's just a symptom of that. You know, a film like Parasite a couple of years ago, that would have been nominated for screenplay, and that's it. So by that same token, we have not seen this film yet, but I'm happy that The Worst Person in the World is here, just because, again, I like seeing international films get into other categories. I have also seen this director's other work, and they are ruining me. All of these films are so good, and just absolutely destroying me, and I can't wait to see this film.
You couldn't even tell me what the film was about the other night because you were so distraught.
Oslo, August 31st, absolutely ruined me. Anyway, I'm really excited to see that film. I'm glad that he got nominated for the screenplay. I'm sure that the film is very good, and I can't wait for us to review it and see it. I guess my pick in this category is Licorice Pizza, which is a movie that I don't like that much. Maybe, hopefully, after this weekend, The Worst Person in the World is going to be my pick, but we haven't seen it yet.
And next up, we have Best International Feature. The nominees are Drive My Car, Flee, The Hand of God, Yunana, A Yak in the Classroom, and The Worst Person in the World.
So again, very excited to see The Worst Person in the World. I hope that that makes this category even more competitive, because I think it's a fairly competitive one. Absolutely disheartened that A Hero is not here, which is one of my favorite movies of the year. I absolutely love Asghar Farhadi, and he has won this award twice already, so I guess I shouldn't be mad that he's not in contention for a third time. The man has 2 Oscars, and he has a Best Screenplay nomination for A Separation. He has been very acclaimed. So I guess I can't be too mad, but I think that film's wonderful. I guess my pick would be Drive My Car. I think Hand of God is very good. Obviously, we both like Flee, and we still have to see The Worst Person in the World. And I don't know what this yak thing is. I guess I'll watch that. I'd never heard of that movie before today. So,
anyways, I don't care if Asghar Farhadi has won 2 Oscars already. This is literally a travesty that A Hero is not in this category right now. It would probably be what I would pick if it was in this category. So that upsets me because now I don't know where I'm gonna go. Pending The Worst Person in the World, I am torn between Drive My Car and Flee.
Next up is Best Supporting Actor. The nominees are Kieran Hines, Troy Kotsur, Jesse Plemons, Cody Smith-McPhee, and J.K. Simmons.
So I think great performances here. I'm kind of torn between Kieran Hines and Cody Smith-McPhee here. I think they were just fantastic performances. I think I'm banking on Cody Smith-McPhee. I think his role and what he did in The Power of the Dog is absolutely astounding, how he pulled off that character.
My pick too, by the way.
Your pick too, by the way. But Kieran Hines has kind of like my heart.
I like this category. I would, interestingly enough, even though I love the film, I would probably take out Jesse Plemons if I had to replace somebody, even though I think he's very good in the film. But yeah, I think Troy Kotsur has a very good performance as well.
And next up, we have Best Supporting Actress. The nominees are Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, Judi Dench in Belfast, Kirsten Dunst in The Power of the Dog, and Anjuni Ellis in King Richard.
First off, Jessie Buckley, yes. Yes. Not only do I love her performance, I love this movie, and I love her ever since I saw her in I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
She's so great in that movie.
She's so great in that movie. She's so great in this movie. I'm so glad she's here. She's my pick, actually. I'm a little disappointed. No, I'll let you take the Belfast portion. I think Judi Dench is great, but there was a snub.
Yes, Katrina Balfe. I'm very upset that she is not here. She was literally my favorite in this category going into this as a possibility, so I'm very upset about it. That being said, Jessie Buckley being here is super fantastic. I think Kirsten Dunst did a fantastic job in her role as well. This is a very great stacked category here. I think Anjuni, we have not seen King Richard yet, but I'm hearing fantastic things about her performances and how she's like the heart of that film. So I'm really excited to see King Richard. But for now, I don't know. I think I'm with you. I think I would go with Jessie Buckley.
Oh, what a queen. Love her. The next category is Best Actor. The nominees are Andrew Garfield, Will Smith, Benedict Cumberbatch, Denzel Washington, and Javier Bardem.
I am so glad that Denzel Washington made it into here because there were some people that were just like not sure if he was actually going to be nominated. So I'm super glad that he's nominated here. He's actually my favorite to win. I think just pulling off Shakespeare the way that he did, it was absolutely a fantastic performance. I'm really excited. I think, of course, Andrew Garfield did a great job. Will Smith, I can't wait to see his performance. I'm hearing wonderful things as well. Benedict Cumberbatch, oh gosh, this is hard. I forgot about Benedict
Cumberbatch is a really good performance.
Yes, oh.
So is Andrew Garfield, by the way. Yeah.
They all just did such a fantastic job. I think I'm just laning Denzel because just the craft that went into support. But then Benedict too. Oh gosh, there's so much craft. There's wonderful craft here going on. I'm really excited. If I had to be upset about some things, it would be I really would have liked to see Jude Hill in here for Belfast. I think that kid did an absolutely fantastic job. He literally carried that movie, and he did a wonderful job doing it. So I wish that I would have seen him in here somewhere. I know it's a very hard category with what we have here in front of us. That and Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage gave an absolutely fantastic performance in Pig, and it's unfortunate that it's not being recognized in the Oscars this year in more ways than one, in more categories. But for this in particular, I think Nicolas Cage did a bang-up job, and I wish he was here.
My feelings are complicated, I guess, because this is kind of a tie between Denzel Washington and Benedict Cumberbatch. I would love for either of them to win, and although I have not seen the film, I really want Will Smith to win an Oscar, just because I love Will Smith. So if that performance is really great, it might be Will Smith time for me. But just going off pure craft of acting, I think either Benedict Cumberbatch or Denzel Washington are my picks.
And next up for Best Actress, the nominees are Jessica Chastain, Olivia Colman, Penelope Cruz, Nicole Kidman, and Kristen Stewart.
I'd maybe pick Kristen Stewart. Not crazy about that movie, but I like her performance in it. And I think she really loses herself in the performance. I think she would be my pick.
And it's crazy how there was this perception that people were worried that she wasn't going to be here because I think it was the SAG that she was.
A couple precursors, BAFTAs too, she wasn't in, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really great to see her in here because her performance, I think, was really wonderful. I think I'm with you on that as well. I think I'm rooting for Kristen Stewart. Olivia Colman, though, I really love that performance. I think there's so much subtlety in that performance.
Next up is Best Director. The nominees are Jane Campion, Kenneth Branagh, Ryosuke Hamaguchi, Steven Spielberg, and Paul Thomas Anderson.
I think this is just a wonderful category this year. I love all the nominees and all the films in this category this year. So I am thrilled. Personally, gosh, this is tough. I really, love what Jane Campion did here. I think it's great that she made a movie after so many years. And I think it's her time. I think she deserves to be recognized for what an amazing job she did with The Power of the Dog. I think also Ryosuke Hamaguchi, I think what he pulled off in Drive My Car is just absolutely fantastic as well. So, oh gosh, this is so tough. And, oh yeah, we haven't seen West Side Story yet. So
that very well could be a spoiler.
That could be very well a spoiler. Gosh. I'm really happy with all these. I can't make up my mind yet, honestly.
Oh, I'm firmly Jane Campion. It is her time. She is a great filmmaker. She hasn't made a movie in forever, and she made her best movie, at least I think her best movie. That movie is just stunningly well directed. When we talk about intentionality, and I know I said this in my review, but when you feel completely in sync with a filmmaker, that what they're showing you, what you're supposed to be feeling is exactly what you're feeling, it was just there. I don't know. I haven't seen it done that perfectly in a long time. So I'm firmly with Jane Campion. I absolutely love Drive My Car, and I'm glad that Hamaguchi got nominated here. I think Paul Thomas Anderson can go. One of my favorite filmmakers
oh my gosh.
ever. Seriously, one of my favorite filmmakers ever. I don't dislike Licorice Pizza, but I don't think it was top 5 best directed movies of the year.
What would you put in place of it?
Asghar Farhadi.
Oh, yes, totally. Ugh.
Yeah.
You're speaking my language. And last up, we have Best Picture. The nominees are Belfast, The Power of the Dog, Drive My Car, Dune, West Side Story, Don't Look Up, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, Coda, and King Richard.
So this is an interesting crop of nominees, actually, for as much of positivity that we've had through all of these nominees. I think this may be the Best Picture race that I have the most films that I say, man, they were okay. For instance, Coda, Nightmare Alley, Licorice Pizza, Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Up and go.
Yeah.
I'm such a hater, but I can't.
I'm a little middle. I like Belfast. That doesn't really make the other category for me in terms of only okay. I do like Belfast, but there's just a lot of movies here that I don't feel as enthusiastic about. Whereas last year there was a whole lot of movies that I felt I really liked. So this is maybe of the past couple of years or so, maybe my least favorite of all the lineups. But I love Drive My Car. I love Power of the Dog. I really love Dune. So there's definitely things here to appreciate.
Yeah, and I think what that does for me personally is just thinking what's going to win. I think this is going to be very hard to predict what wins this year. I'm not sure if they're going to go down the length of Drive My Car, international film, or they're going to do The Power of the Dog because that's so many accolades already. But then again, it's not as typical for the Best Picture winner to also be the same feature that had the most nominations of all the Oscars, which The Power of the Dog has. So I don't know. I'm very interested in Belfast as the loving, heartwarming movie.
A couple little interesting things here. It's interesting that The Lost Daughter didn't get in for Best Picture, but it got in for Screenplay and 2 acting nominations. So that's a lot of love to not get nominated for Best Picture.
Totally agree there. It was one of the things on my list to mention, which I totally forgot, so thank you for reminding me. But The Lost Daughter, I do think, is a missed opportunity here. That's why I was like, I'll just boot out Don't Look Up, and I would put The Lost Daughter here.
I'm sure that like the viewers are tired of us like shitting on Don't Look Up, but I think that might be the worst Best Picture nominee in a long time.
All right, and that's it for our thoughts on this year's Oscar nominees. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about this year's nominees. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.